A question I get a lot is, do I believe everyone should be required by law to get some form of training before they can own a gun? I personally deeply believe that anyone who owns a gun or plans to buy a gun should to some degree get some training on how to use and operate the gun, not only safely, but more effectively. But the question still remains, do I agree with the government mandated training before owning a gun? Absolutely not. And here's why. On average, accidental deaths account for 1% of total gun-related deaths in the US. That's roughly 458 accidental gun deaths a year. Firearms don't even make up the top 10 causes of accidental gun deaths in this country. Don't get me wrong, every one of those deaths is tragic. But considering the US has the most guns than any other country in the world, and we don't even rank in the top 10 for unintentional gun deaths, that's actually saying something. Learning gun safety is not rocket science. It doesn't require mandated training. You don't need to be John Wick to be a safe, responsible gun owner. We could cut that number in half just by teaching people the 4 rules of gun safety. Rule number 1, treat every firearm as if it's loaded. 2, never point a gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. 4, be sure of your target and what is behind it. That's it. You know those 4 rules and don't break any of them, and you won't have any problems. The gun community has been teaching these rules for decades. It's literally the holy grail of rules for the gun community. This Ruger SR40 was the first gun I ever bought. However, I knew about the 4 rules of gun safety way before I bought it because I spent so much time on YouTube researching what gun I wanted. And I kept coming across video after video after video reminding me about the 4 rules of gun safety to the point that it's permanently implanted in my brain. So by the time I bought this gun, I was already a safe and responsible gun owner because of the community on YouTube. The same community that the anti-gun lobby and the social media platforms keep trying to shadow ban and silence. Bloomberg and his anti-gun group spent $11 million to run a gun control ad during the Super Bowl. These so-called gun control safety groups spend millions to push their gun control agenda, but won't spend a dime to put out ads about the 4 rules of gun safety that would literally cut those 458 accidental gun deaths in half. Say what you want about the NRA, but at least they have an entire program called the Eddie Eagle program dedicated to teaching kids about gun safety. The NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association, has Project Child Safe, which focuses on how to safely store your firearms. And shameless plug, I even sell my own portable safe, which is designed to help you transport your gun safely and securely. If it was about saving lives for the anti-gun lobby, they'd spend their money on programs that actually teach gun safety, or at a bare minimum, support gun groups that already do. But they don't. Instead, they support bills like HR 127 that requires Americans to pay for 24 hours of training and purchase an insurance policy from the government at $800 a year. That's not about safety. That's a scheme to generate revenue and make it as hard as possible for regular people to own firearms. We have a right to bear arms, not a privilege to bear arms. When the government requires training before you can exercise a right, they've just turned that right into a privilege. If you don't have to take a test before you can vote, you shouldn't be forced to take a test before you can have the means of adequately defending your life, especially if you're poor, because the people who will be hurt the most by this mandated training will be poor people. Guns aren't cheap. So poor people can barely afford to buy a gun in the first place. And if anyone needs a gun for protection, it's poor people because they live in the most dangerous areas of this country. So you want to make it even harder on them by forcing them to take off from a job that barely pays enough to cover their basic needs in the first place and then pay to take a training course. Nah, I'll pass. Training is important, but it means nothing if you just weaponize it and use it as a way to prevent people from exercising their rights. And the bill HR 127 proves that's exactly what they intend to do. If you own a gun, do the best you can to get training. If you can't afford it, go online. YouTube is literally a video encyclopedia of information that you can use to learn and then take the time to spread what you learn to other people. If you see someone breaking the 4 rules of gun safety, call them out on it so that they can learn and correct their behavior. There should be a social stigma for the unsafe handling of a firearm, but there shouldn't be a financial bar of entry to exercise a right. And that's exactly what the government mandated training does. In 1835 in Texas, soon after a weapons confiscation request, the ladies of the settlement hastily made a flag to fly over a cannon being requested to be confiscated. The flag featured a black cannon in the center, the words "come and take it" below, and 1 star above the requested weapon to be confiscated, representing the Lone Star State. Today, there was another growing gun confiscation request in all 50 of our states requesting to confiscate our AR-15s. We want the government to know what would happen if they tyrannically passed their so-called assault weapons ban. "I will not comply" is a symbolization of defiance against politicians, anti-gunners, and any other tyrannical entity looking to deprive you or your Second Amendment right as put forth in the Constitution of the United States. I'm sure the YouTube algorithm is going to do a phenomenal job of suppressing this message. So please share this video with as many people as you can so we can beat the algorithm and get our two-way message out to the masses. Also, don't forget to like this video and leave a comment, and hit the bell and subscribe button. If you're looking for where to purchase your Defund Gun Control shirts, hats, and drinkware, there's a link in the description section of this video.